This week, Drew and I interview Eric Newman, president of J.C. Newman Cigars. J.C. Newman Cigar Company has a long history that dates back more than a century. In fact, 1895, when Julius Caeser Newman rolled out a first cigar in their family barn. From their humble beginnings as a one-man cigar factory, they've survived and prospered through the Roaring Twenties, the Great Depression, 2 world wars, the Cuban embargo, excessive taxes, smoking bans, and the rapid consolidation of our cigar industry. And, hopefully in a few months, COVID-19. Visit jcnewman.com. And later on in the show, at Stogie Geeks episode 327, our Stogie Geek stick of the week is the Plasencia Alma del Fuego. We're going to talk about it. Stogie Geeks 327 starts right now.
This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show. Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. Joe and I are already silly.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Hozempa, a.k.a. Joe Hollywood, is here with me in studio.
I'm fired up.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
Confidence. Confidence isn't walking into a room with your nose in the air, thinking you're better than anyone else. It's walking into a room and not having to compare yourself to anyone in the first place.
Welcome to episode 327 of Stogie Geeks. I am your host, Joe Hozempa, from an undisclosed COVID-19 location. Today, Drew and I have the opportunity to interview Eric Newman, president of J.C. Newman Cigars. We are going to catch up on all things J.C. Newman, talk a little bit about history, heritage, and, of course, moving forward in these times here. But before I introduce Eric, I want to introduce our little dockhead kid from Texas. Drew, what's up?
Hey, Joe, what's going on, man? Just
same thing as last week.
Yeah, same here, man. I'll tell you, I'm excited. We got Eric Newman from J.C. Newman on, and I went and got my jersey out of the closet. I got a lot of jerseys, by the way. So I got my old Buccaneers jersey out because I know he's out of Tampa Bay, and I'm just excited. So
Tampa Bay's got a gift this year.
Oh man, tell me about it. It's gonna be crazy.
I'm sure we're gonna talk about that too, for sure. But I want to welcome Eric to the show. Eric, how you doing, sir?
Great, thank you, and thank you for sending all your Patriots to our team. It's been 18 years since we've won a playoff game, and our future is now. So we are going to take care of Mr. Brady and Gabrowski. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, and there might be some more following over there too, because when you talk about chemistry in any business, and let's face it, a team, a professional sports team is a business as well. And when Gronkowski goes down there for fun, quote unquote, and Tom and Rob have fun on the field, spectacular things happen. That's just my prediction, but it is what it is. We're gonna see, for sure.
It's been a long time since we've had any fun at Raymond James Stadium here in Tampa, so we are due. We are overdue, so thank you.
You are overdue, for sure, absolutely. Want to get a chance to talk to you a little bit about J.C. Newman Cigars, your role as president, if you want to get into a little bit of the family, talk about that. And then obviously, you're the oldest cigar factory here in the United States, very rich in history. You have a lot of things happening, all pre-COVID-19. You have a big restoration and renovation project. You're turning the goal is to have that be a walk-in tour as well, so people when they're in the area can go down there. I've been following you in your social media. Looks like you've dug up some pretty cool artifacts during that restoration and renovation effort there. And then I want to obviously get into how business is now, and you guys survived the Great Depression, few world wars, Cuban embargo. I'm sure you will survive this too. So welcome to Stogie Geeks, and if you could start with any of those topics, that would be awesome.
Well, thanks, Joe. You read the our byline about all the challenges we've had. This is our 125th year in business, and we've had a lot of challenges. About 100 of those years have been challenges. One area we did not put in there, we should have added, is the 1918 pandemic of the Spanish flu. We survived that too. I couldn't even spell pandemic until about 2 months ago. But anyway, we got an interesting history. My grandfather was born in Hungary, Austria-Hungary, in 1875. He immigrated to the United States, settled in Cleveland in 1888. Came with his 4 brothers, 2 sisters, his parents, in search of the American dream. They settled in Cleveland because that's where the big Hungarian district was at that time. My grandfather was 13. He couldn't speak English, had to get a job. His brothers became tailors. That's what immigrants did. They made clothes. My grandfather didn't want to be a tailor, so his mother paid a cigar maker $3 a month to teach her son how to make cigars. Became a great cigar apprentice when he was 15 in 1890. Big recession in Cleveland in 1893, 94. Laid off all the cigar makers, really off a lot of people in Cleveland. And so sitting around home one day, 1895, and back then, women would go to the grocery store every day because they had no electricity, no refrigeration. So she finally tells the grocer, I come and buy all my groceries from you every day. How about buying cigars for my son? So she comes home with an order for 500 cigars. Again, this was 1895. Then my grandfather was going to make cigars, but he had no money. He had about $50 from his mother, found some old boards, and with $50, he bought 2 bales of tobacco, found some old boards, converted the family barn into a one-man cigar factory. My grandfather was a great talker, better than I am. He got an order for 2,500 cigars from the local saloon. He got an order for 10,000 cigars from Cleveland's largest wholesale grocer. He got so many orders, he couldn't make them all himself, so he got some of his other buddies to come work for him in May of 1895. And then the family barn. Life was great. 5 employees, got a good business, 20 years old, yada, yada, yada. Well, what happened was the barn's not heated. Winter comes, so he moved cigar makers into the family basement. And after a couple of weeks, his mother discovered that her fruits and vegetables, which she canned for the winter, start to taste like cigars, kicks them out of the house and has to set up a storefront in downtown Cleveland. And that is how we started. My grandfather started, there were 42,000 licensed cigar manufacturers. You have to have a license to make cigars, to pay federal excise taxes, even then. And out of those 42,000 cigar manufacturers from 1895, we're the only ones left that's still owned and operated by the founding family. And we went from, stayed in Cleveland until 1953. And there's a lot of stories why we came down to Tampa, but my grandfather was 78 years old. He was figured if he's going to stay in the cigar business, he wanted to go major specialized in premium cigars. In the early 50s, kind of interesting, there are 5 big cigar companies trying to run the little guys, like my grandfather, out of a business. The big companies grew their own tobacco. Maybe it cost them $3 a pound. But they go to the farmers and offer maybe $6 a pound, which they themselves could average down with what they grew. But they did this to establish a fictitiously high price to tobacco that the little guys, like my grandfather, couldn't afford. So my Grandpa JC, said if he's going to stay in the cigar business, he had to find a niche of the cigar business where the big guys weren't in. And back then, the big companies were only the mass market cigars. My grandfather decided, let's get into premium business. And in 1953, there's only one section in the United States making premium cigars. That was Tampa, Florida. So we moved down to Tampa, where we've been ever since. And Tampa has been the fine cigar capital of the world. Tampa at one time had 150 cigar factories in its heyday. And when we moved here in 53, there were 10 big family-owned companies, all making Cuban cigars, Cuban filler, Cuban binder, Cuban wrapper. Then the Cuban embargo came in January 1962, and one by one, all the other companies got out of the business. They moved offshore. They merged with other companies up north, and so we are the only one left in Tampa. This is 125th year in business.
Right, and right now it's your 100, like you said, it's your 125th years in business. It's amazing how like today this business conversation is so relevant, right? Where premium cigars highly restricted back then, like you said, with licenses and all that stuff. Now it's even more restricted. Now we have this COVID-19 pandemic coming through. We have to change some regulations and pivot. Talk to me a little bit about like the resilience that obviously any business that's been around for over 100 years has to really have to really pivot and position themselves so that they can keep going, because you obviously roll cigars on location as well. You employ people. You have a business to operate. Now with COVID, it's kind of a challenge. I get that, but something tells me that it's nothing probably what any 100-year business has been through. If they've been around there, because they will prosper again, and we will get to some sort of a level of normal. It's just going to take time. So talk to me a little bit about that resilience and patience that the business has.
Of our 125 years in business, about 100 years have been one challenge after another. It's been the two world wars, the Great Depression, pandemic, Cuban embargo. In fact, I got into business in 1972. I've seen some things too. I mean, and then we have a family business. And family businesses are difficult, going from one generation to a second generation to a third generation. In 1986, we had a family buyout. My grandfather had 4 kids. My father ran manufacturing, my uncle ran the sales, and 2 sisters collected dividends when there were dividends, but the business was tough. In the 1980s, we had no taxes, you can smoke anywhere, no regulations, but business sucked. It was awful. And then in 1986, 1/3 of our family, my father, my brother, and they bought out our relatives. They got the money, we got the debt and the opportunity. For a long time, we thought they got the best part of the deal. And we had a cigar boom, came with Cigar Aficionado in the 1990s. And up until the 80s, somebody asked you what kind of business you're in. You're saying, I'm in a business. You mumble it because you're almost embarrassed to be in the cigar business. 90s comes, cigars become so trendy, so popular. So many movie stars and athletes had their own cigars. It became really the stud to have your own product. And cigar boom peaked in December of 1997, but it's still a good business to today. There's a lot of people. When the cigar boom came, there were 100 factories opened up overnight to get a piece of the action. When it closed, about 95% of them had closed. Still a few people around. These are challenging times for our business. We have smoking bans. People like our cigars. You can't smoke them anywhere. Now we have cigar taxes. We have the biggest cigar tax ever in history, biggest tax in history of American business. When I got into business, there was a 2-cent cigar excise tax on cigars. Now there's 40 cents. That cigar you're smoking, Drew, is the 40-cent excise tax. That's the first sale. So it's been, and now we have FDA regulations we've been battling for 10 years. And I was telling some of these people that have gotten the business the last 25 years, they complain about how tough this is. This is not tough. I mean, sure, we got the smoking bans and the taxes and the FDA, and now you got this coronavirus, but we got a business. If you have a business, you can figure out how to make it go. Back in the 80s, there was no business. Business was very poor back then. So we're adjusting. I think the reason we've been able to stay in business as long as we have, we've been able to embrace change. And in business to be that long, you have to be successful in any business. You have to work hard. You have to work smart. It takes a certain amount of luck along the way. And we've been very fortunate. In 1986, we formed a relationship with the Carlos Fuente family. And they started making our La Unica and then Cuesta Rey cigars in 1986. In 1990, we started to distribute Arturo Fuente cigars around the country. In 1990, Arturo Fuente was not a well-known brand. Our strength as a company, we always had a good sales and distribution. We never had our own handmade factory up until about 10 years ago. The Fuente strength was they made the best cigars in the world. They still do in the factory in the Dominican Republic, but they sold their cigars through brokers. So we formed a partnership, which now is Arturo Fuente Cigar Company. Used to be Fuente Newman. We distribute Fuente cigars all over the country. So even to this day, the Fuentes can focus on what they do best, make cigars. They make our Diamond Crown and their Fuente, and we can do what we do best, is get them out in the marketplace. Of course, now here we are, probably the biggest challenge we've had in quite a while. But with this COVID-19, I think about 80% of our smoke shops are either closed or they're working restricted hours. Some are going to the curb service business, which makes it difficult. They're still trying to figure out how that works. The online people are doing quite well. Liquor stores are doing well. It's evidently all the bars have closed, so people still have to drink. So people are going to liquor stores. But it's been a challenge. We've been resilient. This is what the toughest thing I've seen with this coronavirus. There's one difference, though, between this challenge and all the other challenges we've had with smoking bans and cigar taxes and FDA regulation. We've been fighting FDA regulation, and they could really put us out of business, and we're battling them since 2011. And actually, it's before then when Congress passed this bill trying to regulate cigarettes and smokeless, and they had an agenda to get rid of all tobacco, but they weren't after cigars at that time. They were concerned with youth access to tobacco and health consequences. And kids don't smoke cigars. They don't smoke premium cigars. And it's been proven that as far as health is concerned, the average cigar, this came from the FDA studies themselves, the average cigar smoker, not you guys, but smokes 1.6 cigars a month. As such, there's no increased mortality of smoking cigars. We're not smoking. Kids don't smoke them. So, but we're still battling all these issues. But this coronavirus is a tough one. But at least the old days, we're battling all these other issues, FDA and smoking bans. It's all about ourselves. All of the supreme cigar industry, we were just us against the world. If we went out of business, they would say good luck in life. But now with this coronavirus, it's just not only our small business, our industry that's getting affected. It's the whole friggin' small business, the whole country, the whole world. So I think governments try and find ways to get us back on track. But if it's just us, we'd be screwed. But I think I'm been an optimist all my life. I've never seen anything like this. I think I can't wait to get through this. And it's been tough. We have a cigar factory in Tampa. We have our factory in Nicaragua where we make our Brick House and Quorum cigars. But in Tampa, we're still working every day. Am I jumping the gun here about our factory renovations, or should I continue with that? Drew, Joey?
No, you're doing awesome. I mean, the lessons are perfect, right? You have to try to be as patient as you can, watch cash flow, take care of your employees, make sure that you can pivot when you need to pivot. And you do bring up a good point. It's not just us, quote unquote, premium cigars against the world. It's just everybody. It has to feel the effects of it, and your business has to pivot. Your business has to pivot online. I've been saying that for years here on the Stogie Geek Show. For the brick and mortars, they need to go online. They need to go online. They need to go online. Curbside service is like putting a Band-Aid on something that really needs stitches, in my opinion. Because let's face it, if you're down 80%, because you get other sources of revenue within your business, lighters, cutters, alcohol. If you serve alcohol, I mean, your business is down. You might be in the 20 to 30% business. Now it's down 70%. If those are your numbers, again, now you got to learn how to survive on 30%. And it might be for the rest of 2020. It might be till fall. We just don't know. And I think it's a certain unknown there. But yeah, so if you could just wrap up right quick on COVID and what you guys are doing to protect your factory workers and all of that. And then I'm sure Drew has a question about the renovations and stuff like that.
You talked about going to online business. Smart retailers have converted a long time ago, but it's a lot of them haven't. But we're taking care of our workers. During the Great Depression, 1932, when we were in Cleveland, when General Motors had a plant there, they closed for 2 years. My grandfather ran 2 shifts, making 2-cent cigars. Didn't make any money, get people employed. I met with our employees about our workers last week before that. We said, we are going to keep you employed. I said, back at that time, I said there was 22 million people that are unemployed. And we're bound to determine to keep our factory going. And I said, part of my spiel was, do you all know anybody that's been laid off? And they all raised their hand. Of course they have. Anybody, restaurants, dry cleaners, bars, they're all. I said, we're going to work. I said, even if we don't have the work for you, we're going to pay you. What we did was, in our cigar making department, in about 14 machines, we make about 60,000 cigars a day. We said, okay, we're going to run split shifts. 1 week, half the factory will work making cigars, the other half will be off. Next week, you do the other way around. Same thing in our shipping department. But we work split shifts. I said, if you come to work, you'll get paid. If we tell you to stay at home, you'll still get paid. And we have social distancing. We have these stations where you wash your hands, hand sanitizer. When everybody's wearing masks. Fortunately, we can still stay in business, still operate. We are not open to the public yet. We don't give tours anymore. We don't do a lot of these things just for ourselves. We distribute cigars to retailers that are open, to the online people, to the liquor stores. So we're very fortunate to be open. Our business isn't as strong as it once was, but it's still, people are still smoking. Some people are smoking more cigars because you're stuck at home all day. One of the biggest problems, my grandfather and father used to smoke 5 cigars a day. Now you can't smoke 5 cigars a week. I smoke a couple cigars a week, if I'm lucky, because you're always moving, always doing things. Plus, you go inside, you can't smoke anywhere inside. But people are at home, and people are getting cabin fever. They're bored. In some cases, that helps cigar sales because they have time to smoke, and which they normally wouldn't. So it's we're just adapting. This thing is changing daily. Sometimes some states are going to open up, some are not. Some stay at home, some's not. Our people, our employees are coming to work every day. They're nervous. They're nervous about getting the coronavirus. Everybody's nervous. I mean, all you do is watch TV and it makes you sick. Not with the virus, just because it's like you have a panic attack. So again, we've been through this for 125 years, and we just can't wait to get this in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your methodology with doing split shifts, the banking industry is actually utilizing that as well. So you have like an A and B shifts, week on, week off, or 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and or whatever the cadence is. This way you keep the people working in clusters. So you have your group of 10 or 20, but it's the same 10 or 20 people. So the banking industry is actually doing that. I think it's great that you're able to still sustain, and because 1 in 6 Americans are collecting unemployment. I guess the number is up to now. So it's kudos to you for keeping it open and doing that. For sure. It's we will get past this. You certainly will get past this for sure, being an older business. And then once we get out of that storm, you're going to go back into the premium cigar FDA regulation storm, which I don't know which one, it's like, but
we're doing that. We're doing that as we speak. Yesterday, we finally got a favorable ruling. Joe, you won't believe this one. This is the first time I ever remember that we in the FDA were on the same side of an issue. We both petitioned the court. Yeah, we both petitioned the courts. We're supposed to have a big regulation supposed to support, it's called substantial equivalence. FDA has a right to take off everything off the market we've introduced in the last 13 years unless we can prove it's substantially equivalent, their words, to cigars we made before 2007. It takes a lot of paperwork, a lot of testing, a lot of running around, and it's very difficult to comply. So difficult, FDA never got around to giving us guidance on how we're supposed to comply. That don't bother us with the details. They don't show us how they want us to comply. Anyway, May 12th was the due date. Because of the coronavirus, everybody's agreed that they should give us a delay. FDA is not working, so a lot of our folks aren't working, so they gave us a 4-month stay of execution. So hopefully between now and 4 months, we'll be able to figure this out. We've also been working with Senator Rubio and Congressman Castor here in Florida to work this bill through Congress to get premium cigars exempt from regulation. There's but no standalone bill goes anywhere. We try to get attached to an omnibus bill that nobody reads, 10,000 pages. That hasn't worked yet either. But really, the truth of it is, we are not the enemy. We are the amount of premium cigars represents 1/100th% of all the tobacco products sold in this country. We are not even a rounding error. There's some in Washington like to see us go out of business. They're after cigarettes, the vape people, smokeless, e-cigarettes. We are not the culprit, but we're just getting, in Washington, sometimes they use one-size-fits-all remedy to all their ails. Yep. So we've been battling a very expensive effort. We're all members of Cigar Rights of America, spending millions and millions of dollars with attorney fees, battling in court, trying to get us some relief, so we don't have to prove our cigars are substantially equivalent. And next year, we have to test all of our cigars. They want us to test for nicotine, we think, gum, tars, as if we're cigarettes. We have to send those results to them in the middle of 2021. There's two problems. There's a lot of problems. One, it's very expensive. And one, you can't test cigars like you test cigarettes. Cigarettes, there's maybe only 4 or 5 different shapes. Cigars, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different shapes, different inhalation styles, and the machines don't even exist to test cigars like cigarettes. It's going to cost us maybe $20,000 per SKU. It's going to cost us millions of dollars. It's going to cost our competitors millions of dollars to comply. So we've been trying to get an exemption from regulation. I know when Donald Trump became president, he believed that the regulation kills small business. Was no better example of that is than what overregulation is doing to our little industry. We're paying $3,200 a day, and they call them user fees. No, they don't even call us taxes, call them user fees. We don't pay it. We're tax collectors. We pay the government the money. We pass it on to the retailer. He pays us. He passes it on to the consumer at the higher prices. So it's a real mess. But we can keep that going. What we can't do is we can't come out with a new blend because we can't contribute cigars to silent charities. We send a lot of cigars to the military. You get your butt shot at in Afghanistan, Iraq. You want to go back to your barracks after a hard day at the office, hard day getting shot at in the trenches, and we can't even give cigars to the military because they're afraid that they actually will not like them. Those regulations, those are tough, but it's really the compliance regulations. There's no way we can spend millions and millions of dollars to try to prove to the government that the cigars we're making today are the same cigars on same SKUs that we made 13 years ago. We don't even have those records. Plus, cigars are made out of tobacco. Tobacco is natural. What happens is no two cigars are alike. They're all made by hand. And the crop varies from year to year to year. If it rains a lot, you're going to get kind of a washed out crop with low nicotine. If one year you have a crop that doesn't have a lot of rain, you get fatter, heavier, more nicotine in the leaves. So it's almost like an act of God that determines the nicotine content level of cigars because they are a unique product, and we're so different than cigarettes, so different from smokeless and vape, and we're trying to get this exemption. We've been working for 12 years at it. We are cautiously optimistic we may get some relief because we deserve to get relief. We are not the people that's caused the problem. But in Washington, one size fits all. So we're still fighting this battle with FDA every single day, coronavirus or not. You got me worked up. That was.
I'll tell you, if we edit this video, you can send it right to the FDA. It's perfect.
They've heard our arguments.
It brings up all the points, right? It brings up the points of the nicotine content, how it varies per crop. If it talks about the business regulation, how making it more regulated will not hinder on creativity of the cigar. It talks about the difference of other tobacco products and premium cigars. I mean, it's everything that I've been saying for years and years and years, on the FDA. I've been talking publicly about the FDA since 2015 there, and it's just amazing how they haven't come up with any sort of a solution. But I think it will come after COVID and all this. It's got to be coming soon. And then you also bring up the point, if they raise it and whatnot. Like I've been saying since 2015, they're going to pass it on to the consumers. It's how business is done. It is what it is, So not that you want to do that. You love your consumers. But realistically speaking, if you raise the price 70 cents, we're going to pay it because I enjoy those Diamond Crown Maduros. I'm not going to lie.
Go live music to my ears. Thank you.
I love the Diamond Crown Maduro. I went on a tear with
taste.
those. I love those. But anyway, Drew, chime in, please.
Yeah, no. So my question to you is just talking about the when you broke ground last year on the multi-million-dollar factory expansion. I know a lot of people I spoke with. They're like, wow, that's they've been watching the snippets that you've been doing from the factory. And just going, over that, how's that coming along, and how did that get to be a topic, I guess, on a roundtable discussion when you guys were going to go ahead and do something like this to the factory that's 109 years old?
Well, Drew, I have a son named Drew. His idea, Drew is fourth generation. He just has the fifth generation about a month ago, so we're thrilled about that. He lives in Brooklyn. He's our general counsel. He also running more of our business. There, Drew had this idea. Said, Dad, it's going to be 125th anniversary. We live in the cigar city. We need to celebrate. We need to have as a gift to the city, a city which was the cigar city. One time had 150 factories. Now we're the only one left. Let's showcase our factory to bring cigars, to showcase what cigar making was all about in its heyday. So our plan was to turn our factory into a tourist attraction, to be the premier cigar destination in the United States. We have a factory in Nicaragua. A lot of people go visit Nicaragua, Dominican Republic. It's hard to get to Managua and Santiago. Here you come to Tampa. But what we are doing is we want to turn our factory into the destination like the Bourbon Trail is in Kentucky.
Yes.
You walk into our factory, it's like walking back in time. We're making cigars the same way my grandfather made them on old antique cigar, hand-operated cigar machines made in the 1930s. We're also making cigars by hand. I have a brand called The American, which is another story, which maybe we will get to. Basically, what our renovation consists of, we're tripling the size of our museum on the first floor. We're going to put a factory store also on the first floor. Second floor, we're going to put a mini movie theater showing videos of Ybor City and interviews with different cigar personalities around the country. The top floor, we're putting in a hand cigar factory within our factory with 12 rollers and a lector, more part of our museum. Then we're going to give open tours to the public. Our museum is free. The first part of it will be free. We're also going to be giving guided tours. Again, walking through our factory, like walking back in time. We've had the renovation should be finished by the end of May. We plan to have a public celebration at the end of May and become a real tourist attraction. when Busch Gardens closed, Disney World closed. The world has changed. So we're still going full forth. We obviously aren't going to be open to the public before anybody else is, but we are getting closer. Yeah, you all talked earlier about some of the fun things we found in our factory in a renovation. We discovered an old set of stairs that was blocked for like 60 years. Just like at home, you have an attic, you put a lot of junk in your attic. We had so much crap around. So to do the renovation, we had to do a lot of cleaning up. We found these old stairs that went from the general manager's office at the time all the way down to the basement. Tampa had a cigar city mafia. Surprise, surprise. In the 1930s, a lot of cigar factories, every factory got robbed. When it was your turn to get robbed, you just took it like a man because it was just your turn. You didn't want to piss off the mafia. All the cigar makers back in those days got paid in cash, and life was tough. The fact we moved from Cleveland to Tampa in '53, people that owned the factory originally were the Regensburgs. They had built some secret stairs, so we had. So if they were paying out the money in the main office there, and they started to get robbed, they run to the next room, open up some stairs, go down all the way down these stairs into the basement, and go around the corner and go to another vault, and they hid. And we uncovered those stairs. That's going to be part of our museum tour, and it's kind of cool. And you can go down the stairs too, but we didn't even know it was there. There's so much lore in this history of Tampa, and it's like any old town. A lot of stories, a lot of fun, and we can't wait to show it off. You have to come see it when we're finished. Come see it when you're able to travel, and hopefully that won't be too far in the future.
Oh yeah, that's what I was telling Joe late last year. I said, can't wait for this renovation to get done, and then go down and do a segment down there with y'all, and just and showcase the new factory. So we have been talking about that for sure, in getting down to Tampa.
I go down to Fort Lauderdale or Pompano Beach every year for one of my 2 family vacations, or I go to Hilton Head as well. And this year I had planned in the fall to get down there as well, but we're gonna have to see with travel and all of that stuff. But if not, then definitely when restrictions allow us and all of that stuff, I'm certainly gonna take the trip down there. Totally. I love old office factory buildings. When I had my first advertising agency, we actually were part of a restoration project and all of that stuff. Totally love like that whole scene over there, and how when you're doing restoration or renovation, you find so many cool things from. It's like opening up a time machine. So yeah. I can't wait to go.
Yeah, I was going to say the new stuff too, Eric, is going to be exciting for, and I think a lot of educational as well for people to go down there and check out the new rolling gallery, where they can see the handmade cigar production there, live and understand tobacco, understand, the intricacies of rolling a cigar, and not only that, but what is added to the cigar, that's all natural. And so to that, I look forward to seeing that as well. And I know a lot of people I've talked to, they're like, it's definitely going to be a destination to go to when we go down to Florida.
Plus, call me a romantic.
Cigar rolling classes and talk about cigar tastings and make it just like you go to Napa Valley. You sample the wine and but this you make cigars. You can't make wine. You make cigars. It'll be an education all the way around.
Yeah, call me absolutely. Call me a romantic. When I did pre-Stogie Geeks, I had a cigar radio show called Cigar Club Radio. It was here in the Providence Metro, and every event that I did with the radio station, you couldn't smoke in the restaurants, right? But I always had a cigar roller on premise, just rolling the cigars while I was on the radio. People would come down and get their cigar and then do that there, and then kind of see that visual presentation. We talked about it on the radio, him rolling the process. We had to use I actually had to use a translator. The radio station was like giving me hell, saying, you want to roll cigars at a restaurant but not smoke them, and you want to interview someone on the radio with a translator? Like, that's not going to make good radio. That's going to make great radio. I go, because the Yankees do it all the time with their pitching staff, so why can't I?
Right.
And we were actually on a Yankees station at the time here in the Providence Metro, so they kind of laughed it off, and it went very well. And then after the event on the radio, I was on air from 4 to 6 p.m. And then from there, we would go to a local cigar shop, and everybody would take their hand-rolled cigars and drive next to where the restaurant was and all of that. It was a super cool evening where, you're like, I don't know. Like, I remember way back in the day, Alec Bradley had specials when they came out with the original Tempest series where you could meet the roller. It was talking about an event that was like well orchestrated and put together. You were able to actually get one of those cigars from the roller right then and there. Now, the good news about that is once you get a cigar that's been rolled, you actually have 24 hours to smoke that cigar, or you need to have it wait for 30 to 45 days. That's the only downside. But it's just so romantic to just see that process. And so for the Stogie Geek listener to have Tampa be a destination and walk into the J.C. Newman factory, not only is it going to be like stepping back in time, not only is it going to be like, wow, we're stir crazy, this is crazy, right, from this COVID thing, now we get to step back in time and see this process. It's going to be a way. It was great for Drew to put that together because it's something that you're going to celebrate even after your 125th year in business over there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my son Drew's had a lot of ideas. One of his ideas, didn't always agree with, but it's okay. It's great. Funny idea. Different generation. I'm sure my father didn't agree with everything I did and I wanted to do, and my grandfather didn't agree with what my father wanted to do as well. But Drew, my son Drew, wanted to bring hand cigar making back to our factory and bring it back to Ybor City. And he said, Dad, I want to start making a cigar. This is like 3 years ago. And the first cigar made in our factory, which is known as El Reloj. In fact, all these old factories in Tampa had nicknames. Our factory was called El Reloj, which is Spanish for clock, the clock factory. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you told any old timer you're going to go to El Reloj, they know exactly where you were going. But Drew said, the first cigar brand that was made in 1910 when the factory was built was called the American. And Drew said, Dad, I want to make the American by hand. I said, you want to do what? I want to make hand cigars in our factory. I said, Drew, that's a terrible idea. Labor is 8 times what it is in our factory in Nicaragua. Drew, you lose money on. Well, Dad, not only that, I want to make an American cigar, purely American. American wrapper, American binder, American filler, American boxes, American bands, American label. So they see a lousier idea. The wrapper, where he's do, I said, Drew, I'll tell you what, you can wait till your mother and I die and get your inheritance, or you get it now. You're not going to make it, you can lose money on it. But I said, Dad, I want to do it. Well, it's yours, son. Do what you want to do. The wrapper we have comes from Drew's another guy that's a visionary named Jeff Borshowitz. Jeff's a retailer in Orlando, as a store in Tampa. He's a frustrated farmer. Wrapper tobacco hasn't been grown in Florida. Cigar tobacco has been grown in Florida since the 1970s. He wanted to grow tobacco, so he starts out this experiment, cigar tobacco, in Claremont, Florida, not too far from Orlando. And this eventually became the FSG filler. FSG, as I think Drew Estates has a brand called, makes some form of FSG. They get the filler, but we get the wrapper, the outside leaf. And it's a wrapper for our American cigar. We use Connecticut broadleaf binder, but there was no long filler grown in this country. So we got the Mennonites in Pennsylvania to grow some tobacco for us. So that is the heart of our tobacco. With Jeff's wrapper, Connecticut broadleaf binder, Mennonite grown Pennsylvania field. It's called the American. Sells between $16 and $20. We have 2 rollers now. We each make 100 cigars a day. Most cigar makers around the world are paid on a piecework basis. The more cigars you make, the more money you make. Because it's hard to make handmade cigars when we don't have a real handmade factory. So our cigar makers have to sort the tobacco, select it, case it, strip it. So I tell you what, you teach our rollers, you make 100 cigars a day, and that's it. So your incentive is to make 100 of the best cigars, not the most cigars. And they've done that. The cigar boxes. I mean, we get cigar box made for $5 in Nicaragua. It's not good enough for my son Drew. No, it has to be made in America. We go to Miami, get these boxes for $20 a piece. I said, Drew, you get the same thing, Dad. I want to make an American molds, American band, American. Anyway, and we're going to expand upon that. But when we finish our cigar factory up on the third floor, we'll get more rollers and we'll get that in operation. But we're still making 200 cigars a day, called the American. It's such a lousy idea. It's a great idea. But it's a different world out there. I'm sure my father.
I think it's a great idea.
It's off the wall, and it's a generational thing. So we're excited about that as well.
I think it's a great idea. Hopefully, Drew's young enough where you can tell him what to do. Tell him he has to come on Stogie Geeks, and I want to hear his version of the story as well, because he's got a lot of innovative ideas, and I think it's really creative, especially now that, in your case, it's the fourth generation, right? Times have changed. Things have changed. I'm sure he has more ideas in his head. I definitely would love to have him on the show. So if you can relay the message, that would be awesome.
I'd love to be on the show.
And then also, I think it's a great idea because I've actually had the American at Casa Fuente over in Vegas. So we visited Casa Fuente over in Vegas, did all of that. And let me tell you something. They're really onto something. And it's funny because I remember when I got the press release when J.C. Newman was going to produce a cigar here only in America. I remember saying, man, this cigar is going to be like $80 a stick, because of the labor laws. Because that was the first thing I thought of. Like, oh my God, like they're gonna, are they gonna compete with Davidoff from a price range? But no, you guys were able to keep the price at a good price point, and really it gives our Stogie Geeks or cigar enthusiasts or cigar aficionados, however you want to label us, right? It's something to really smoke history. Like he had a vision in his head of producing that, and then he did it. And to my knowledge, it looks like, and then from my perspective, it looks like he did it with success. So kudos to him, for sure.
Every generation has their ideas, their vision of how they like to see things go. Drew has his. Can't wait till we get our renovations finished. Can't wait till we get coronavirus behind us so we can go back to business as normal. We have our factory operating in J.C. Newman, Penza, in Esteli, Nicaragua, where we make our brick house, Pearl Del Mar, and Quorum. Nicaragua is doing, they're still hanging in there. I know Honduras is closed now. The Dominican Republic has been closed, and they hopefully open up the next week or so. But this pandemic has struck everybody hard. And we could have had a conversation 8 weeks ago. Things have been normal. We wouldn't this thing came on so suddenly. I still can't believe it. I don't even know the real definition of the word surreal, but there was, I think, the coronavirus is that what they've caused, because this is so unbelievable. Nobody ever saw it coming, and it doesn't discriminate. It affects Republicans, Democrats, rich or poor, all kind of races. The FDA, cigar smokers, non-cigar smokers, equally. It is equal opportunity. So we're kind of struggling in this, but anyway, credit to you, cigar geeks. So, talk about the cigar boom. Oh, back in the '80s, when business really sucked, nobody cared, and Cigar Aficionado came out. You guys are promoting the love, the enjoyment, the camaraderie of smoking cigars, which, if you told me when I got in the business, there were actually TV shows, radio shows, I don't even know what a blog was, but actually talking about cigars, I said, you're smoking something funny. It's not cigars either. But it's a credit to you. You're giving people the opportunity, cigar lovers, the idea to converse with one another, to meet us and others and you all and talk cigars. And it's probably gotten more popular now that nobody can really get out of the house often. So you're an outlet for providing information, what's happening, these are all levers of the leaf. And cigars are so unique. I've tell people you get two strangers come into a store in a lounge, two walks of life, what you name it, wherever, a general, a janitor, or custodian, whatever. And by the time they sat down, you smoke a cigar, be on your show, not be on your show, and they can talk sports, politics, music, all problems of the world. And I can think of no other product that brings people together like cigars. In fact, if more people in this country smoked cigars, we wouldn't have the divisiveness we have in our country that we have now.
Oh, I thought you were going to say. No, thank you. I thought you were going to say there's no other device that brings people together like a diamond crown.
I should mention the brand too. The Diamond Crown,
you
Maximus,
should,
Julius Caesar.
No.
It's we've been partners with the Fuente family for so long. In 1990, it's my father's idea for Diamond Crown. He wanted to work with the Fuentes to make a special cigar for our upcoming then 100th anniversary. Dad wanted to make best cigar it's ever been made. Didn't care what it cost, how long it took to make, not even whether it would sell or not. So Dad got with Carlito and his father, and it was kind of interesting. He wanted to use double fermented Connecticut shade wrapper, and where Diamond Crown has been used double Connecticut shade wrapper since it started in 1995, and used 5-year-old age filler, Dominican filler, and that also wanted to make 54 ring size cigars. Dad knew that the thicker the cigar, the more flavor you can maintain, the continuity of taste, blending 6, 7, 8 leaves at a time. Back in 1990, the biggest ring size was 50. Dad's not wanting to make it 54. They had no molds for 54. So Carlos had to get some special molds, and we were the first large ring size cigar. Now a 54 ring is nothing. You get 60 ring, 70 ring, 80 ring. But Diamond Crown Classic has done so well since 1995. And it's kind of interesting. During the cigar boom, you got a lot of new cigar smokers come in, and they want mild. They don't want to get their socks knocked off, or they don't want to kill their taste buds. But just like when you start drinking bourbon or scotch or vodka, you start at an entry level, and then pretty soon you want to have a stronger, full flavor, full bodied scotch or bourbon. So people are saying, why don't you change in the late 90s, change your blend of Diamond Crown, give it more body to it. We said, we don't want to. People like our blend of Diamond Crown. But then we came out with a brand called Diamond Crown Maximus, which had more oomph to it. It had an Ecuador Havana seed wrapper from the top of the plant. And in 2010, in honor of my grandfather's 135th birthday, came with a brand called Julius Caeser, which has a lot of flavor as well. Julius Caesar was my grandfather. But Diamond Crown is the same cigar now it was 30 years ago. Life has changed. We used to use a lot of Connecticut shade wrapper. Connecticut, you try, you're from up there. See the cheesecloth? Now there's very little Connecticut grown tobacco because people found out you can take those seeds, take them to Ecuador, have Connecticut shade tobacco grown in Ecuador, kind of looks the same, doesn't taste the same, and a lot of our competitors have gone to Ecuador because it's cheaper. But since we in the Fuentes start our businesses based on the real Connecticut shade wrapper, we're keeping the Connecticut wrapper as it was back 25 years ago. So that we think that's one thing that makes Diamond Crown special, the real deal. It's hard to get, and a lot of our competitors have shifted to the cheaper tobacco, but we're keeping Diamond Crown right where it is. It's interesting. You ever heard of J&R, Lou Rothman? Basically, I tell you, are we over? Can you tell the story?
Well, yeah, tell the story. Go for it.
Okay. During the cigar boom, life was crazy. We had Big Smokes. Remember, Big Smokes, Cigar Aficionado used to have them. There used to be 9 or 10 a year. Now they only have a couple left, but at heyday, there's 9 or 10. And there was a Big Smoke in New York every May. And my father and I would fly up there with my brother, and we always go first to see our biggest customer, who was Santa Clara, J&R. So a fellow named Lou Rothman. And this was like 2002. We go visit, we have to sell cigars to Lou. Lou says, I have a factory in Nicaragua. How about I get cigars from my factory? I says, no, Lou, we're here to sell you cigars, not to buy cigars. No, you should buy cigars from my factory. So, okay, we listened to them, couldn't say no to big customers. So we kind of said, okay, we'll give you an order, but we couldn't find a brand. We believe in brands. And to make any cigar, make any product go, you need to have a brand. So back 20 years ago, we used to have these trademark registries where you could get a look at every trademark in the country of anything before there was the internet. And every time we found a brand we thought we'd have a good name for a cigar, the name was taken. One day I saw the word Quorum. I thought that'd be a great name for a cigar. But look, it was taken. So my brother's talking to Lou Rothman and said, we want your cigars. We can't find a brand. We said, for instance, we want to get Quorum. And Lou Rothman said, well, who do you think owns that brand? And we said, we don't know. He says, I do it. I'll sell it to you for $1 a year if you just make cigars in my factory. He just want people to buy cigars in his factory. So we started up an operation. We started buying cigars from his factory in 2003, a brand we made there called Quorum. And the brand got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we got concerned that some of our competitors who did not have a factory in Nicaragua would buy that factory and either quit making cigars for us or they'd raise the prices so much we couldn't sell. So in 2011, we built our own factory, brand today called J.C. Newman Penza in Esteli. At Quorum, there we make our Brick House, Perla Del Mar, and El Baton cigars. And we have about 800 employees in our factory in Nicaragua. We have about 130 in Tampa. And again, the labor in Tampa is about 8 times what it is in Nicaragua. And then we're still doing, Fuente are making a Diamond Crowns cigars for us. We're still selling cigars for Fuente. So it's been quite a ride. The world is changing. It continues to change. I feel bad for our retailers today. Some of them either are closed or doing that curbside business, and you're right. Curbside, some are doing pretty well. Some of them quite haven't figured out. One of the smartest people in this industry is a guy named Dave Garofalo. Owns 2 guy smoke shops in New Hampshire.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's a beast.
Yeah. From Rhode Island.
He's the beast of the Northeast.
Yeah.
He is. He's a sweetheart of a guy. Said, hey, you should write a book on how to run a curb service.
He did write a book.
He did write a book.
He did write a book. It's called David and Goliath.
Goliath. It's funny. He wrote his book, all these ways to promote cigars, and he got like 95 different ideas. And his editor said, 95 is good enough. Not good enough. You need to make it 100. And Dave said, give me an hour. Came back with an hour. Here's 5 more. The guy's a genius. And
he is
an inspiration to the cigar industry, all of us, because he thinks outside the box, doesn't take no for an answer, politically connected, and very, very special guy. I wish we could clone him. And he's got so many great ideas. Every problem out there he turns into an opportunity. I mean, one of my favorite Dave Garofalo stories. Everybody was after all the cigar people to donate for silent auctions, donate for charities. We're all given to charity. Only Dave Garofalo could find a way to make a donation to a charity good for his business. What he did, he would raffle off cigar seminars, cigar tastings in his store, and maybe it's worth a couple $100, whatever. He'd give to them, give people cigars. People never smoke cigars. Come to a store. How do you cut? How do you light? How do you smoke? And 9 times out of 10, they became customers. I mean, only Dave Garofalo came with another idea, made $100,000. Said, you know how you go into most stores, everything is rounded off to 95 cents, $5.95, $6.95, $8.95. They get 99 cents instead of 95 cents. You make $100,000. He does. He makes the extra $100,000 a year by rounding off to 99 cents instead of 95 cents. And nobody says a word, of course. I mean, that's
no,
like
absolutely. I actually know a few humidor managers who actually tell me off record that, like, when they speak to Dave Garofalo about their humidor management and all that stuff, how his advice is just amazing. I've had a bunch of managers, just talk to me in general because, I have a couple down south, I have a couple here in the Northeast, a couple in the Midwest that kind of, check into Stogie Geeks and give, a kind of like a barometer as to like what the environment is like. And multiple times they've had said talking to Dave Garofalo is a smart move. And I agree. And not for nothing, even if you're a small retailer, I mean, look up Two Guys Smoke Shop over in New Hampshire and give them a call and say, hey, I got a small shop. Well, I'm in the middle of COVID. I got to get to some sort of level. To my knowledge, he would definitely take some time out or at least point you in the right direction. He's a super nice guy. For sure. Absolutely. Drew, do you have a final question for Eric?
No, just like I said, going back to the renovation, like I said, the experience for what's coming up in the future, sooner than later, it's phenomenal. I mean, just the rolling gallery, the aging rooms, the tobacco storage, and then also, I mean, something that I actually, when I read the article about late last year, I believe it was talking about the company plans to have a raised podium for a lector to read to the rollers, just like the cigar factories used to do back in the old days, which I didn't know what that was. But that seems pretty cool. Is there something you can touch on that, Eric?
So back in those days, the lecturer would read the news of the day. They read books. The cigar makers were pretty much uneducated. That's how they got their education. And making cigars could be a mundane job after a while. But they would read the newspaper. Everybody wants to know what's going on. That was the lector, the reader. And again, my son Drew said, "Let's build a lector stand, and we'll get a lector. Maybe not every day, but once we get the business up and going there, he wants to bring back the way it was 100 years ago, and bring
sounds
back
like he's a smart boy,
and just the way it was to show people the way it was done, and we're still doing it today. It's such a crazy, off the cuff idea. It's probably a great idea. I would never thought of it. I've never spent the money. It's his inheritance. It's okay. I'm still here. I haven't died yet.
He's got a lot of great ideas, Eric.
I'm wearing a mask.
Sure. Yeah, he's got a lot of great ideas. As a parent, you must be very proud of what he's accomplished so far. And I think he's gonna do you guys proud moving on to the future. I mean, he's got a very, very good cadence about him. I kind of silently follow him along, and I think he's come up with a bunch of great ideas. Every time I speak to your marketing PR person, I'm like, you got to get Eric on the show. Like, he's such a breath of fresh air, where I think the industry needs that. And I think you making the Tampa factory a destination is a smart move. And I think the brick and mortars need to actually do that as well. They need to make their factory, their brick and mortar establishment, whether you have 100 facings or 6,000 facings, either way, you really need to make your place a destination, because I do feel that post-COVID, consumers are really going to decide where they're going to spend their dollars. And it has nothing to do with the premium cigar industry. It's going to be cascaded into restaurants, meals and entertainment, all types of stuff. So absolutely. And you're going to come back on the show and give us an update as well, as to what's going on, especially when you open up and when some of these restrictions get released in this COVID era that we're in.
Well, if you ever go to Esteli to visit the Cigar Factory tour, I think Drew Estates gave great tours. My friend Nick Perdomo has great tours. It's just a pain in the butt to get that down there. But it's not easy to get to Tampa. Hope you get the real cigar experience in Tampa without having to go to another country. And we invite everybody to come to visit us. We'll be ready to go, I'm afraid, before this coronavirus issue is solved. So we'll be ready. And when the stay-at-home orders are lifted and life gets back to normal, or maybe the new normal, we'll be ready to go. And we look forward to welcoming everybody to our factory in Tampa and help us celebrate our 125th year in business.
Oh yeah.
Sure. And the next
Looking
time
forward to that.
we get you on, I want to take some times and talk about the brands. I'm really into these quorums as
Yes.
well. I'm not just a Diamond Crown consumer as well. I like the Julius Caesar, but that Diamond Crown Maduro is really something special, at least for me. I really enjoy that stick. It goes excellent with a Bloody Mary. I have proven that many times here on Stogie Geeks.
Well,
That
Diamond
Purtle
Crown
Dome.
Maduro is uses a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. That's what they make for us with the Connecticut broadleaf, where Connecticut shade has become like a dinosaur in Connecticut up there. As fewer and fewer farmers are growing that shade tobacco, Connecticut broadleaf is very popular. So they have good taste. Don't tell my son, but when I talking to my son Drew about going on your show, he said, Dad, you got to talk about brands.
No,
I
you don't.
probably told too many stories, but not even the brands. So next time we come back, we'll say, Drew, you come back on the show and you talk brands.
Yeah, honestly, Stogie Geeks, I love to talk about business, and sustainability of the business. Because if you don't talk about sustainability of the business and you don't talk about that, brands is secondary. Building a brand is fun, right? Doing logos and doing all that stuff is fun. But if you don't build awareness of the business and concept of the business, it doesn't matter if so many people like your brand. They are equally important for sure. But I mean, having someone like you who's been obviously in the business for a long time and third generation, I'm so happy that we were able to get this interview. I'm glad that we had a chance to talk about the business. And next time, maybe you and Drew can come on together and talk about the brands, because we do stick reviews as throughout the year with all of the brands that you have to offer and all of that type stuff. And we do drive people to your website. So Stogie Geeks, definitely go to your Google browser and type in JC Newman and check them out. They make a lot of super cool brands. If you sign up for the newsletter, you can get updates as to how the renovation process is going. You have a kind of spotlight shadow box, I think you call it, video series as well that you guys are doing, which definitely keeps the consumer in tune as to what's going down over at the factory. So kudos to you for
I saw that
for that
the
as
first
well.
time last week. What happened is we have an old museum, and we had like 14 or 16 shadow boxes. And I used to give tours in our museums, and I know all these stories. I said, before you destroy our old museum, before we built a new one, somebody there video me telling stories, because once it's gone, it's gone. One day I may be gone. So they did that. And last week I saw they put it to music, from banjo music, and they called a Shadowbox series, which I thought was kind of interesting. I
think it's a great idea. It's a great idea to live the legacy, for sure.
One more point I'd like to bring. It's not even brands. Something that's we're very proud of, and the 20s are very, very proud of. In around 1999 or 2000, Carlito and I were riding around his Chateau de Fuente, and we saw these kids playing in the street. And he was explaining to me that there's not enough schools in the Dominican Republic. There's schools that are in double session. They should be in school. This is during school session. And that wasn't really good. So we said we went through a cigar boom. And we need to thank the people of the Dominican Republic for growing the best tobacco, making the best cigars. Let's do something. So we were going to build a wing on the local school so the kids can go to school. We went a little further and we saw some girls carrying jugs of water on their shoulders. And I said, Carly, what are they doing with the water? He said, you won't believe it, but most of these little huts have no water in their homes, shacks. And the kids have to walk as much as 2 miles from the river to bring water to home. And even then, the water's not fit to drink. So that's not right. We should give them clean drinking water. So Plato and I in 2000 had this vision. We had a school clean drinking water. And then Carlos met a fellow who runs the largest humanitarian organization in the Dominican Republic, told us about our gringos idea about this, like wing on a school. Said, you don't want to build a wing on a school, then become part of the government. You want to build your own school. So with a lot of effort in the early 2002, we started a Cigar Family Charitable Foundation. We bought 23 acres in one of the most impoverished areas of the Dominican Republic. Then in September 6, 2004, we opened up our primary school. Great day. We had opening days. We had 800 people there, the media, the politicians, the parents. Everybody thought it was great. Grades pre-K through 8th grade. About 4 months later, Carlito called me and says, we have a problem in our school. I said, we can't have a problem. Everybody loves us. Says the problem is about the 8th grade girls got hold of him and said, we love our school, but the closest high school is an hour away walking. They want us to build a high school. I said, Carlos, we have no money to build a high school. Doesn't matter, we have to build a high school. So Carlos and I both together co-signed a loan for $1 million at the Bank of Tampa, which has since been paid off. We built a high school, then a medical clinic. Anyway, that's the heart of our Cigar Family Charitable Foundation. We have like 5,000 students and their families using our project every day. It's called Cigar Family Charitable Foundation.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's super cool. And it's a testament as to, again, you see a problem and you do your best to try to solve it. That's what a lot of business owners do. So, right. Eric, I want to encourage you not to be a stranger to the Stogie Geek Show. I want to thank you for your time for appearing here on Stogie Geeks. Go ahead, Drew. Take us out.
No, hey, Eric, so I just wanted to put a shout out there on your, so I know there's you guys just kicked off a hashtag Brick House at My House contest. Do you want to touch on that real quick?
Our marketing department came up with the idea is that you can't smoke in a smoke shop anymore because the lounges are closed. So we have our Brick House brand, which is named after my grandfather was born the only brick house in a village in Hungary. One of his first brands was called Brick House. We renovated about 12 years ago. And it's a contest. You can buy a brick house, you buy a box brick house, you get some cool stuff with it. If you you post on social media, on Facebook, it's a contest. And if you're chosen with the best post, you get a prize. And that's about as much as I know about. You probably know more about that than I do.
Yeah, I do, and I'll make it a lot easier for you Stogie Geeks who are listening or watching over at home. If you follow us on social media, Stogie Geeks on Facebook, or myself or Drew on Twitter, or Stogie Geeks on Twitter as well. All of the information is posted up there. You got to use a specific hashtag, and away you go, and you can get everything. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to pay homage to the bricks and mortars that have to learn to reposition and pivot through this COVID.
You can also go to jcnewman.com for the same information as well. And there's so many hashtags. I remember we got our first fax machine about 40 years ago, and we couldn't figure out how that worked. Up until when I started in business, we got all of our orders either in the mail or on phone occasionally. And then we had faxes, and then we went to online, and now the social media. It's a changing world. Unfortunately, we have people that part of our team that handles this. We have Adria; she's our social media guru, and there's a lot of people smarter than I am when it comes to technology, including you guys. So I'm sure that the new generation can figure this all out. So anyway, thank goodness for them. Thank goodness for you all. But we appreciate your mentioning our brick house, smoking brick house at your house contest.
Alrighty. Absolutely, yeah. Adria and your social media team does a great job. We always share all of that over on the Stogie Geeks and our stuff as well. So all of the listeners know and are aware of any contests that you guys bring up. Eric, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for everything that you've said, for sharing the stories with us. They were great stories. Don't be a stranger to Stogie Geeks, and I want to encourage you to be safe, as always, as we can get through this pandemic here and move on to business. It would be awesome if we can. And I'm hoping that it's now going to be more sooner than later. So,
thank you, Joey. Thank you, Drew, for giving me this time to tell a few stories about the industry that I've worked in for 48 years now. And thank you for sending Tom Brady to us as well. Thank you.
There you go. So if
Go
you've been in the
Bucs.
industry for 48 years, you must have started when you were 2 years old. There you go.
You lie and I'll swear to it.
There you go. There you go. Stogie Geeks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we get the stick of the week. We'll be right back.
For more than 150 years, yours to enjoy now.
Welcome back to Stogie Geeks, episode 327. I am your host, Stogie Geeks. This is the Stogies of the Week section, and the stick of the week this week is the Plasencia Alma del Fuego. The specific size is the Candente Robusto. That is a 5x50. Super excited to talk about the stick, and then Drew and I are going to get into what we have been smoking. Drew, Alma del Fuego, what do you think?
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Okay, now we're. I got to turn on the mic here. No, great cigar. Alma del Fuego is Spanish for soul of the fire. Definitely, very one of the I've had, and it's in my regular rotation. The conception is that these the Alma Tape is very rich and nutrient, and that's one of the regions where the tobacco is grown. So, great cigar. I've had it, like I said, a few different occasions, and continue enjoying it.
There you go. This cigar is available in 3 different sizes. It's available in the Robusto size. That's a 5x50, Toro size, 6x54, and the Pantella size, which I actually like that size as well. It's a 6.5x38. If you missed a review on the Pantella, you can go back a couple of Stogie Geeks episodes, or come Monday or Tuesday, you can go to stogiegeeks.com/Plasencia, and you can get all of the reviews all in one spot as we are going through this Plasencia series. Let me tell you something about this stick. What I really like about this stick is the smoke content you get from a lot of the Plasencia cigars. It's so characteristic of that. If you don't believe me, you can go back to the Stogie Geek archives, either via YouTube or on your wherever you get your podcast catchers from. You got to check out the interview that we did with Nesta Plasencia, because he actually gives a reason to like, I'm not off my rocker when I say that the smoke content is really, really strong here. whenever you have a Plasencia cigar. But what I like about it, wrapper binder filler is obviously all Nicaraguan. It's really strong. It's a medium plus for me. And the retrohale, you're gonna get kind of characteristics. Believe it or not, you're gonna get some. I couldn't really put my hands on it. I was like, it tastes fruity to me, right? I'm like, where am I? What is this? What is this? Well, according to their website, you get a hint of spice with tangerine. I'm like, that makes sense. There you go. So yeah, absolutely. And then again, it's got a sun-grown wrapper from the Jalapa Valley. Super cool sticks. It's very complex, especially within the retrohale for sure. I dug the Robusto size, no question. But for me, that Pentella size is really where it's at because you're going to get all of those nutrients and the flavor from that actual wrapper.
Yeah.
There you have it. So, Stogie Geeks, if you go to Plasencia, well, you can go to Plasencia.com, cigars. But if you go to StogieGeeks.com, click on the Plasencia banner, you'll be able to type in your zip code and find a brick and mortar near you. Give them a call. I'm sure they will be readily accepting your call, and they can ship you some Plasencia cigars for sure. You won't be disappointed. Unlike the Reserva or the Cosecha 146, I don't know if I would use this stick for a special occasion or a gift because it's unique flavor, unless the person who you're gifting it to really likes strong cigars. That would be my advice.
I was going to say that, the full, it is definitely a full, a medium to full. Some people say medium to full. I'm going to say it's full for me. On the retro, I mean, you do get that leather, and you get that spice there. The spice, I'm going to call it more of a cayenne spice, not really too punchy, but it's there. You could definitely get that. And that citrus, finally, when you said tangerine, I was like, that's what it is.
I didn't know what it was. I'm like, and I try to smoke it and not look at the website, for us, because it's like kind of cliff notes, right? Because they're gonna tell you what it could potentially taste like or what they're really going for. And I try to do it. I'm like, I couldn't picture it. I don't need a lot of tangerines, but you can definitely taste that tangerine component in that retrohale, no question. But like I said, powerful smoke content, get a little bit of roasted nuts towards the end. You get some leather components. A lot of
earth.
A ton of Nicaraguan earth for sure, which I think that develops that packed, dense smoke content that you get in the Plasencia line for sure. But when you're smoking that Pentella size, like you really can taste the actual tangerine component for sure. The Robusto, it's a little bit washed out for me. You have to really work at it. And really, but both of those sticks, or all three of them, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but when you take the Falma, which is the smaller size, you can use a bullet cut. I have a little bullet cut. It's not a real big one. It's let me see. Yeah. So it's a little bullet cut there, and you can just about get it there. I bullet cut or V cut a lot of my stuff, so that's kind of like my go-to there. Actually never had these via a guillotine cut, but again, I like that tar build-up and the leather component. But I mean, if you want like Nicaraguan 101, classic Nicaraguan, you got to get into the Plasencia line. There's no question. There's no way around it. True.
Yeah, the little sweetness you get from that too. I was going to touch on real quick. It's just a little bit of that clove. You definitely get that spice in there. That's it just tends to be just a little bit sweet on the back of your palate as it's rolling through, and then as you release it, you definitely get that sweetness that comes through.
Absolutely. What else have you been smoking, Drew, this week?
So I've been smoking. I got these in the mail. These are called the Blue Mountain Cigar El Threesome. Don't know much about the stick other than it's definitely a Maduro wrapper stick. I don't know if you see that there. I got a few of these in the mail, and just wanted to give them a try. Went on their website, took a look at them. A very earthy, oaky, a lot of a lot of smoke content for sure on this cigar. I didn't have to relight it once, and it burned very evenly, and so it's one of the I'm on number 2 of 3, and this cigar has been pretty consistent. There's still some more research. I'm working on it. I've been trying to get some new stuff in this COVID-19 situation. From a brick and mortar versus mail. Calling one of the big guys. That's what I've been smoking. Blue Mountain cigar. I would give this a try one, and then from there, from what I understand, they do have several different offerings on their website. They've been around since 1995, and they are made in Nicaragua. So that's what I've been smoking, sir.
There you go. I've been slowing down my cadence and smoking and trying to pick my smoking spots, right? I'm still not in studio and all of that type stuff. I've been digging this week the Christoph Corojo Limitada. Right? I've kind of jumped back, shopped at my local brick and mortar. Of course, it was curbside, and they're very big on Christoph. So had the Corojo Limitada. It's a torpedo size. It's 6 1/4 by 50 is the ring gauge. Your wrapper is a Nicaraguan Corojo Habano. Your binder is a Nicaraguan Habano. Your filler is Nicaraguan Habano with Dominican Habano. Complexity, flavor, and balance. Complexity, I gave it a 7. Flavor and balance, I gave it about 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. It's available in 4 different sizes: Churchill, Matador, Torpedo, and Robusto. I had the Matador, which is a 6 1/2 by 56. Obviously had the Torpedo, which is what I'm mentioning here. And I've had the Robusto. I really didn't get into the Churchill size just because I'm not chilling out for 2 hours outside. It's still a little cold here in the Northeast, where we get those raw, rainy or post-rainy days. So maybe in May, or in the beginning of May, when we're still under the quarantine and the orders start to get lifted, I might get into some of the bigger sizes there. But the most prominent notes I get from this is cedar with some pepper. Flavor, again, all in the retrohale. Comes in a little pigtail. You can just pick it right off. Don't need a cutter or anything like that. Again, you get some cedar. And then the bulk of the cigar, what I like about it is towards the end, if you're able to just utilize the pigtail as opposed to guillotine in it, you get like a sweet cedar with a leather component that's not harsh at all. It's a definite must try for sure. I've been getting into the Christoph Vengeance as well, but in regards to the Christoph Corojo Limitada, I would give it a box split for sure.
There you go. What would you?
What's up?
Oh, nothing. I'm sorry. I was doing something else.
And Stogie, no problem. And Stogie Geeks, I want to encourage you, if you want my rating on the Alma del Fuego, if you go to StogieGeeks.com, click on the Stogie section, that will be up there in a full description come about Monday or Tuesday of this week as we launch the podcast and go there. You get to watch it live on Fridays. And then as Johnny does his magic and all of that stuff, it gets distributed through your podcast catcher on Monday. I'll have my review up there by Tuesday. If you want to go to StogieGeeks.com and click on Stogies, you can actually pick them out, some of the ones that I have reviewed in the past. We're getting a little bit more active on that there as well. And then also a quick programming note. Next week, I guess the boys, Alec and Bradley, are going on a world tour because they've been on just about every video podcast over the past couple weeks. Certainly there. I've had a chance to catch up and see some of their interviews. And again, it's kind of like it's another generation, right? It's the sons of where the company of Alec Bradley was founded, right? As far as the name. And it's second generation, and I can't wait to hear their insight and talk about some of their sticks as well. I've been into their Blind Faith for sure. Super good smoke. Definitely you want to check out Stogie Geeks episode 328 next week. as we have that going on in the programming note. Any other thing you want to wrap up on, Drew, before we wrap up?
No, I just want to say keep continuing supporting your brick and mortar retailer out there. They're all doing curbside. Again, you know, we're it looks like we're in this for another few weeks, and who knows beyond that. But yeah, keep continuing, you know, supporting those guys and get your stogies there. And if you guys have anything you guys want to talk about, you know, we're always on our platform, so hit us up.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are on Twitter, you go to Joe Hozempa, all one word, or Stogie Geeks, or Drew Stogie Geeks. You can find him over there as well. Drew's email is drew@stogiegeeks.com. I'm Joe H. stogiegeeks.com. Yeah, but I definitely want to say, if you can get out there and support your local brick and mortar, they really need you at this particular point. Unfortunately, throughout this whole distribution, supply chain, blocks and obstacles that we're going through with this COVID era, cigars will be plentifully available for us. You know, as usually they run about 6 to 8 months in advance. So let's call it's been month 2. So 4 or 5 months from now is maybe when we're going to really see somewhat of a strain. But it also gives you a chance, if your brick and mortar doesn't have something that you normally is your quote unquote go-to or whatever, do what I've done and try something new and try something different, and you know, try your best to stay safe through this. I think we've gone through more weeks of stay at home than less weeks. I'm hoping. You know, I'm hoping that when they start to release the restrictions, they don't come up with another 3-week deadline from there. But I guess that would depend on geographically where you live. So I want to encourage the Stogie Geeks listener. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to thank you for watching, and I want to thank you for your support. Tune in next week. We got another cool interview lined up as well. And of course, I want to remind you that behind every cigar, there's a story worth knowing. So get out there and shop local curbside for now. And we will soon be in brick and mortar shops. I'm assuming a chair, a pot, or 2. That might be coming soon. But at least you'll be able to take some time out of a crazy world and get out there and smoke your cigars. So absolutely. That being said, Stogie Geeks, we'll see you next time. Peace.